In 74 BC, a 17-year-old young man was selected to be the new emperor of Han Dynasty. The new emperor's name was Liu Bingyi. Liu Bingyi was a legendary man, not known after he was born. His whole family was exterminated by his great-grandpa, Emperor Wu. Emperor Wu was a famous dictator in Chinese history. He ruled people by iron fist, while his son, the Crown Prince Zhu, advocated ruling people by benevolence. So Emperor Wu killed the Crown Prince Zhu and his whole family. He also killed those who tried to help Crown Prince Zhu and his family. The executioners did not want to kill the small baby Liu Bingyi, so they lied to Emperor Wu and put baby Liu Bingyi in the prison. Liu Bingyi could hardly survive in the prison because his mother was killed, and no one fed him. Fortunately, 2 female prisoners just had babies, so they can feed Liu Bingyi. The warden, whose name was Bingji, then ordered the 2 female prisoners to feed Bingyi. Bingyi was weak and always got sick. Everyone in the prison hoped this poor baby would not die of illness, and they named him Bingyi, which means sickness go away. Thanks to the care by the 2 female prisoners and the warden, baby Bingyi survived and grew up. When Liu Bingyi was 5 years old, his great-grandpa Emperor Wu came to the end of his life. Emperor Wu made his youngest son Liu Fuling to be his successor. Liu Fuling's mother, Consort Gouyi, was young and pretty. She was Emperor Wu's favorite consort in his late life. In order to consolidate Liu Fuling's position, Emperor Wu killed lots of people who might be the potential threat to take the power of the future emperor. Liu Fuling's mother, Consort Gouyi, was the first one to be killed. Emperor Wu's feng shui master reported to him the aura of the emperor appeared in the prison of the capital city Chang'an. Emperor Wu immediately ordered to kill all the prisoners in this prison. Emperor Wu liked to rule people with harsh laws, and he also liked to employ the cruel officials. Therefore, lots of people were sent into prison for making tiny mistakes. At that night, the imperial guards rushed to the prison, but they were blocked out by Bingji. Bingji organized some jailers to defend the gate. The conflicts had lasted for the whole night. The imperial guards could not break in. The head of the guards then reported to Emperor Wu that Bingji was against the emperor's order. Until then, Emperor Wu knew that his great-grandson was in the prison. Emperor Wu was a superstitious man. He then gave up killing the prisoners in this prison, and he ordered to set all the prisoners free. After Emperor Wu died, Liu Bingyi was set free, but he was quite sad because the 2 female prisoners were set free as well. They went back home to reunite with their families. Liu Bingyi did not have family because his mother, father, grandmother, and grandpa were killed by his great-grandfather, Emperor Wu. Bingji reported to the administration office of the imperial policies, but they refused to accept Liu Bingyi. Liu Bingyi cried a lot about the leaving of the 2 female prisoners. Bingji then used his own money to employ the 2 female prisoners as Liu Bingyi's nannies. Bingji also took his salary to provide meat and rice for Liu Bingyi. As days went by, Liu Bingyi grew up into a carefree young man. He was good at making friends, and he was a good swordsman. He always took his swords to travel around and play with his friends. His friends came from all walks of life. They raced horses and dogs, competed their swordsmanship, and they even gambled sometimes. Unlike most emperors who grew up in the imperial palaces, Liu Bingyi was kept in prison until he was 5 years old, and he grew up in the bottom of the society, so he was much familiar with the real world than the emperors who grew up in the imperial palaces. He knew that people were suffering because of the corrupted officials and the cruel policy made by his great-grandfather, but he could do nothing to change it. His biggest problem was that he could hardly find a wife to get married. Liu Bingyi's grandfather was convicted of treason, and lots of people died of this incident. People dared not to marry their daughters to Liu Bingyi. One former subordinate of Liu Bingyi's father, whose name was Zhang He, planned to marry his granddaughter to Liu Bingyi, but he was strongly criticized by his family members. Zhang He felt so sorry for this miserable prince. Zhang He was a head of the eunuchs. He found his subordinate Xu Han, who was another eunuch, had a 15-year-old daughter, Xu Pingjun. Zhang He then invited Xu Han for a drink and suggested him to marry his daughter to Liu Bingyi. Xu Han was so drunk, so he agreed to marry his daughter to Liu Bingyi. So here comes the problem. Zhang He and Xu Han were eunuchs. How can Zhang He have granddaughter and Xu Han have daughter? This was because Liu Bingyi's great-grandfather Emperor Wu was fond of castrating men. Whoever made a tiny mistake might get the punishment of being castrated. Anyway, Liu Bingyi got married with Xu Pingjun, the daughter of a eunuch. Liu Bingyi had the best time of his life after he got married with Xu Pingjun. The young couple loved each other. They often went to the South Plain outside Chang'an City for hiking. 1 year later, they had one son. Liu Bingyi did not have his own family, so he lived with his wife's parents. They got on well with each other. Xu Han did not have son, so he treated Liu Bingyi as his own son. They always had a drink together. Liu Bingyi enjoyed his family life, but his peaceful life was suddenly interrupted by one incident. Emperor Wu's successor, Liu Fuling, died at a very young age. After he died, the regent, Huo Guang, had chosen Emperor Wu's grandson, Prince Changyi, to be the new emperor. However, Regent Huo Guang was not satisfied with Prince Changyi. He soon deposed Prince Changyi, who had only been the emperor for 27 days. Han Empire needed a new emperor. At last, Huo Guang chose Liu Bingyi. So Liu Bingyi became the new emperor of Han. He was recorded in history as Emperor Xuan of Han Dynasty, Han Xuandi. After Liu Bingyi became the emperor, the regent Huo Guang wanted to marry his daughter to the new emperor. He wanted his daughter Huo Chengjun to become the empress. Emperor Xuan then received lots of reports which nominated Huo Chengjun to be the empress. These reports were sent by the ministers who wanted to please Huo Guang. Huo Guang, the emperor maker, was the most powerful man at that time. He was much powerful than the emperor. All the courtiers and eunuchs at that time were Huo Guang's men. Liu Bingyi dared not to displease Huo Guang either. He knew that he might lose his life if he disobeyed the regent, but he still tried to make his beloved wife Xu Pingjun as the new empress. Finally, Emperor Xuan found a smart way to do so. He issued an edict. In this edict, he did not mention about the issue of the empress. Instead, he said, "When I was not the emperor, I had a sword, but I lost my sword after I became the emperor. Who can help me to find my former sword?" This edict was quite famous. It is known as the most romantic edict in Chinese history. The ministers and the courtiers were all moved by this romantic edict. so they proposed to make Xu Pingjun as the empress. Even the regent Huo Guang was moved by Empress Xuan. He finally gave up making his own daughter as the new empress, but agreed to make Xu Pingjun to be the empress. Xu Pingjun, the daughter of the eunuch, then became the empress of Han Empire at a very young age. Not soon after she became the empress, she got pregnant again. However, Xu Pingjun was hated by Huo Guang's wife. Huo Guang's wife wanted her daughter to be the empress. If Xu Pingjun was still alive, Empress Xuan would never make her daughter to be the empress. So she ordered Xu Pingjun's midwife to kill her. Xu Pingjun's midwife dared not to disobey the whole family, so she put some poisonous herbs into the soup for Xu Pingjun. Xu Pingjun then died of bleeding after giving birth. Empress Xuan was so sad. His beloved wife was murdered. She married Huo Guang's daughter as the empress. 3 years later, Huo Guang died. Liu Bingyi killed the whole family of Huo Guang and deposed his daughter. He made Xu Pingjun's son to be the crown prince and ordered a childless concubine to help him raise up the crown prince. Although Emperor Xuan killed Huo Guang's whole family, he continued Huo Guang's policy of reducing taxes, COVID, and promoting economy. Emperor Xuan was a good emperor because he was a victim of the harsh laws. He abolished the harsh laws made by his great-grandfather Emperor Wu. Emperor Xuan's greatest achievement was to build Changping storehouse. When the grain price was low, the government would buy grains and stock them into Changping storehouse. When the grain price was high, the government would sell the grains from the Changping storehouse at an ordinary price. Emperor Xuan had done lots of things to ease the burden of people. During his reign, the Han Dynasty was considered by many historians to be the peak period of Han. Emperor Xuan contributed a lot to the Han Empire. He also contributed 2 idioms to Han language. The first one is called 故剑情深, the deep love of the old sword. The other one is called the lost love of South Plain. Emperor Xuan felt sad. His beloved wife did not have the opportunity to see the prosperous empire he ruled, and he could not share his happiness to his wife anymore. He would always stand on the high platform of the imperial palaces and looked forward to the South Plain. In the South Plain, they often traveled when they were young and free. This is a story of the lost love in the South Plain. Nowadays, the South Plain is a famous tourist resort in Xi'an City, which is called Chang'an in Han Dynasty. Thank you for watching this episode. In the next episode, stories about how Emperor Xuan and Xu Pingjun's son, Emperor Yuan, will be told.